Record. Sometimes I do that and nothing happens. Just checking it's working. Well, welcome to Schenectady today, in and around the Capital Region. I'm so happy that you're joining us today. We've got a great show today, and we're going to be starting out our show, this show itself, not the segment. We're going to be talking about the laws coming that are changing in 2019, so be sure to stay tuned for the whole show to learn about that. But we are going to be starting out, our first segment will be Schenectady Light Opera, and they're going to be talking about a new production called, well, it's an old production, but it's a new production here called The Wild Party. And then we're going to be talking with our attorney about the different laws that have changed throughout the, for this coming year. I guess there's a lot of changes, and you can see his picture right up there at the legal center there, legal corner, I guess it is. And he also has a Facebook page, so you can also check that as well. And then we're going to be talking about an organization or a group that is doing a lot of good things for our Schenectady schools, and it's the Education Foundation. And they're having a gala coming up, and we'll be talking with them about that and how you can support that and maybe make sure go to one of their events or this event. And then we're going to be talking about a really great series that comes up every winter called Beat the Snow series, concert series. And that's over at the library. And that brings me to our breaks today, because one of the guests that will be performing at Beat the Snow series is Don Hyman, and he will at the time be doing a tribute to Aretha Franklin. And there's Don right there, and he's been on the show, so we're going to be talking, showing that, giving you a little taste of what you might expect at Beat the Snow concerts. And Janice Walsh will be telling us about that as well. So we're going to start right out talking about, a Happy New Year, in case I haven't said it, Happy New Year. We're going to talk about a play that I'm not familiar, a musical that I'm not familiar with, but I did look it up to find out more about it. Lots of songs in it. It's called The Wild Party, and I'm not sure which one of these people here is really the wildest, but we're going to find out. Amy Clark is the co-producer, and of course we have Brian Clemente, and he's the director of it. So, you picked a play?
I did. It was one that I submitted to SLOC as a submission board.
Why you picked this play.
It was one that I was familiar with when I was working, when I was studying back in college.
Okay.
Was familiar with some of the music, and it led me to discover the whole thing. And it was one that I almost did when I was in college, and it didn't end up working out. So it's one I've been fascinated with for a while, and it was one of a few that I submitted to the SLOC as a selection.
Yeah,
committee.
I know they do. Yeah,
yep.
yeah. And it's a provocative musical.
It is. It is a little racy, a little off color. A little bit. It's
too much for us. Right?
Too much? No, not at all. Maybe for the kids, but I think you can handle it.
Well, it's for a mature audience.
Yeah, a little on the mature side.
Yeah. Amy, you're the producer, and what does a producer do?
Lots of things going on.
You do everything that the director doesn't do.
Keeps me in track.
I do everything you don't see on stage, pretty much, but try to do our best to promote ticket sales, so I'd encourage everybody to go online and get their tickets, selecttheater.org, and work with the cast on various other things. And I work with, Michael Camello, so I'm working with him.
He's your other co-producer.
Yes.
So, which brings me to Adrian. You are in the play.
I
love the photos. Can we bring up some of those photos and let's talk about those?
Yeah, the photos are great.
Those are really great photos, actually.
Love it.
All right, now tell us what that's about.
So,
just other than the cast.
Yeah, so this is the main four. Queenie, Burrs,
You're
Black,
Queenie.
and Kate. I am Queenie. And they kind of drive the show, like the main plot during the show.
You're the one that wants the party?
I want the party.
Yeah, does anybody else want it?
Burrs definitely wants the party
Burrs,
as well.
he's your buddy there.
He's my man.
He's your man, okay. Can you see another photo there, maybe?
There's one of the two of that, that's nice.
Yeah.
And who's playing Burr?
Burrs is played by Keenan McCullum. He
Okay.
is incredible. Definitely has the voice of an angel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
great.
he's fantastic. He's
Yeah.
been great to work with.
Looks like you do have a thing there.
Oh yes,
Oh, yes.
they're
Passionate.
quite the phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how large is the cast?
21.
21.
Yeah.
This is a wild party.
It's been a little challenging to work with because everyone is the party takes place kind of in real time. So the whole cast is on stage almost the entire show instead
Really?
yeah. So it's a little different than where people kind of come on and off a lot of the time.
So the choreography of this has got to be a little bit dicey if you're on for that long a time, right?
It's incredible. Honestly, Carolyn did an amazing job. It's like, I don't know. It's out of this world. It fits the show perfectly, but it's tiring. Definitely.
We don't get to. We're lucky. We don't get to.
Well, and the other thing that I think about when you talk about a cast of 21, how do you get them all together, especially if they're all on the same time? It's not like you could take, okay, your scene is over here and we're going to do that, or your scene is there. No, you got 21 people. You got to get them together because they need to know the movement, they need to know, and they're singing together too.
Yes. Every single person is very important, and so it's tough to, it's been a little challenging because we started rehearsals in late October and auditions right before that, and we've been rehearsing since then.
Well, usually 6 weeks is
we were lucky to get a little more. But we have a lot of holidays in this slot for slot with Thanksgiving and then Christmas and New Year's, and so people go away, and it's been nice to have that extra time to get everybody kind of back, and luckily the weather has cooperated also. It's snowing today, of course, but
is it?
Or it's supposed to snow. It snowed last night or something.
Who cares?
I don't know. Whatever.
You know, you can't trust the people. Last Thursday, I turn on my TV and it says, there's goes my mic, and the TV says, terrible storm coming in on Tuesday. I said, wouldn't you know it? You know. I mean, I got up this morning, there was nothing. There wasn't even the only thing that was on the thing was salt. Somebody put salt.
Somebody had put salt on the road.
Road, that was it. That's the only thing I saw on the road. But you've got a play that it's not well known. Just to let people know that it's not one that's like Annie Mame or any of those. But what makes this play so different? Because it seems to have a lot of elements in it that you might, maybe it's sort of like a Rent or something, and a Rent for adults or something,
It's very, I think what makes it so different is it's based on a poem from the 1920s, and it's set in the 1920s.
It's based on a poem.
It's based on a narrative poem, and that's also kind of fallen through the cracks because the author kind of wrote this, and he wrote another thing, and then it got buried for a long time.
I see, okay.
And so it's not only set in, the Prohibition, Jazz Age, bathtub gin, that whole, before the stock market crash. It's set in 1927, but it's truly, the guy writing it wrote it in 1927, was living that at the time. So it feels very authentic. I feel like the script and everything is based on a very, very authentic source material.
Has the script been changed at all? Updated. Sometimes they update them a little bit.
I think they've done. This came out in 1999, 2000 was the season,
and it played on Broadway.
This was actually off. Ironically, during that time there were two versions of the show being developed kind of alongside each other, totally coincidentally, and one premiered on Broadway, and then one premiered off Broadway, totally random, kind of at the same time. And we're doing the one that was off Broadway. Yeah, same title, based on the same source material, very different kind of scope.
Talk about planning.
I know it's so bizarre. It was just very, very bizarre. But we're doing the one that was off Broadway. And that played, I believe, in the summer of 2000. But
were they both musicals?
Yeah, they are. Yep. But totally. But this one, it's all very different in terms of the source material. This one's based a little closer to the poem. And the other one has a little more of an appropriate music type. A lot of the music is from the 20s, very kind of like Tin Pan Alley, whereas our score is a little more contemporary. There's a little bit more of everything type thing to kind of bring it into the modern era.
And per our usual, we'll have a live band, live orchestra.
Are they going to be on stage?
They won't be on a physical stage.
Well, sometimes they,
sometimes they are.
Sometimes they do. Audiences will be treated with some beautiful costumes of that era. So,
who's doing the costumes?
It's been a collective project. The production team. We don't have a per se costume designer, but everyone sort of pitched in, and they're in for a treat. Yeah, good. The audience is.
So, Adrienne, how long have you been acting in musicals?
I've done musical theater on and off since I was a kid, but I mostly have been doing film and TV, in my adult life. So this is my
so what film and adult and are you you don't work with John Crane, do you at all?
No,
oh,
I don't.
Okay.
No, I lived in Los Angeles. For
Oh, okay.
a while,
So you were out.
Yeah, I was
out
working
west.
out there.
Okay, yeah. Because John is doing a lot of films out this end of the country. He's from Tennessee, but he's up here now. I had a great interview I did with John Sayles, which was an amazing, just an independent filmaker.
Yes.
And his pictures at Proctor's here. Who knew? Yeah. But anyway, it's so you're doing film. So what does it feel like to be on stage?
I missed it.
This is different.
Yeah.
This is different.
This is honestly the most challenging role I've ever had in general, just vocally coming out of not performing like that for 5+ years. And then, film is just so...
It's just retakes.
Yeah.
If it isn't quite right. Because I've done
You don't
film.
have a live audience.
I did a film. It was like just a half-hour film show, and it took us like 3 days to film it. And it's like you do something, go, oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what? That was good.
Yeah. This is like you make your choice and you
one
go.
chance.
That's
Yeah,
it.
Yes, that's right. Stick with
No,
it.
they wanted me to stand over here and look that way. And I was looking that way. But it was okay. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But I can understand what you're saying. So we want to tell people, when can they see this?
So the show runs January 18th through the 27th.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So
Sundays being matinee.
Sundays are
So
matinees.
matinees
Yes,
are
that's
good.
very important.
And don't bring the little kids.
What? Parental guidance suggested.
Yeah.
Yes, if you're,
Definitely.
Don't bring the little kids.
I don't want to tell people not to buy a ticket, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
Unless Amy's going to sit in the back and babysit.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't think that's going to
Bring them like a candy or a peppermint or something to chew on.
Exactly.
Something to
A leftover
occupy
candy
themselves.
cake.
Well, we've been talking with Schenectady Light Opera representatives, and we're learning a little bit more about the Wild Party. And if you want to go to the Wild Party, I'm sure you can go to it, and you just have to buy a ticket. So we'll see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about law. Don't you just love law? Stay tuned.
Change, 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 a fool. For 5 long years, I thought you were my girl, but I found out, hey, I'm just a link in your chain. You got me where you want me. I ain't nothing but your fool. You treated me mean. You treated me cool. Come on, y'all. Hey, change, 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 change. Every chain has got a weak link. I might be weak, but I'm not your slave. Here's what they told me. You know what? You told me to leave you alone. My father said, come on home. My doctor said, take it easy. I know you're loving her much too strong. It's adding to you. Change, 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 change.
Well, it looks like I was boogieing there. Holy moly, I didn't realize I did that. But anyway, I'm never surprised at what I do sometime. John,
Yes.
law,
Yes.
changes?
There
What's
are.
going on? I mean, I know about the tax thing that's going to drive us all nuts.
Oh, sure. Sure.
But you're not a tax attorney, or are you?
I'm not really a tax attorney. Well, I don't want to say dabble, but yeah, there are a lot of attorneys around who are very, very proficient with tax issues in particular, including one at my firm. So any tax issue, I would always refer over to him.
To back up, you have a firm that has 5 offices, so you have a number of attorneys.
We do, yes.
So that's where your strength probably comes from, is that you have attorneys that, have certain specialties that you can kind of directs people to.
Yes, exactly. Well, we have about 21 attorneys at the firm. We're actually very excited. We're in the process right now of bringing someone else on board who is just a guru on cybersecurity issues. And that is something that we think all of our business clients are going to benefit from greatly.
So we all come to him and sue Facebook.
If you want to sue Facebook, I guess you could, but probably not a good.
Won't be me. Won't be me doing that.
Me either.
But I mean, we've been hearing about that.
Oh, sure.
When you talk about changes in law, I know you talked when we emailed. We talked about Medicare and Medicaid. Where would you like to start to talk about these different changes?
Oh, sure. So. One of the biggest changes that's in the process of happening right now is that based upon a budgetary issue and a budgetary law, effective in 2019 is this new regulation which says that
it's a regulation.
Well, yes.
Because there's rules and regulations, and then there's laws.
Statute. True, and this is a statute. So I mean, this is an actual statute. Yes. And so this is something that purports to limit the number of home health care providers, licensed home health care providers, that an insurance company can contract with. And it's the first time the state has ever had a limit on the numbers. I don't know that it's directly related to that. It certainly could be. I think it is related to some budgetary issues. From what I've heard. But the effect on people is that if someone is receiving health care at home right now, even if it's only a couple hours a week or a few hours a day.
We're talking about caregivers.
Yes.
Okay. And we're talking about, are we talking about medical caregivers or just caregivers? Like, I come in and I buy your groceries and stuff like that. You're talking about medical, aren't you? Or are you?
Well, medical healthcare agencies, home healthcare agencies, usually do provide both skilled nursing services and home healthcare aides, and so the aides will do things like help people get dressed, help with things around the house and things like that, and then the nurses will provide actual medical care. So it appears that by limiting the number of licensed home healthcare agencies that each insurance carrier can contract with, that there's a concern, a strong concern that is going to limit people's access to those home health care services.
So, yeah.
And what is the alternative to community-based care? Usually it's a nursing home. So if people don't want, very expensive.
Well, we're better off if, and you can. Everybody says this. If you can stay at home, it's going to cost you a lot less than it will be, even though you're going to have people come in. It's less than if you go to a nursing home, which is $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 a month.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The average,
even the skilled is, what is it? Skilled, not skilled, but assisted living.
Yes.
Runs $5,000, $6,000.
Oh, sure. Sure. The good news is that under either of those circumstances, if people do the right planning ahead of time, they can actually save that money, and sometimes there can be very little, if any, cost to individuals.
And that's what
if they do the right
planning is where you start to, getting your relatives involved in your, right? When you're talking about, if you own a home, you can put somebody else's name, put it in someone else's name. Is that what you're thinking?
Oh, sure. Yeah. There are a wide variety of possibilities out there, and it can have tremendous savings. And a lot of people think that I'm not a millionaire, so what's the difference? I don't have $500,000 in the bank. All I have is the house and the car and a few other little
and
personal
it still
items.
Applies to them?
It applies to everybody. It really applies to everybody, and a lot of planning techniques are a lot more affordable than people think. And so the way that this ties in with this recent change is, the sooner you start planning, the sooner you can become eligible for those services, start obtaining those services. Because it's going to be harder to kick people off of services that they're already receiving, as opposed to someone applying for services fresh. And as time goes by with these changes that we're seeing.
So what is like a revocable trust? Is this the same thing where with Is that the same thing, the same type of thing?
Yes, yes. There are a variety of different types of trusts. There are revocable trusts, which incidentally will not protect assets in the event that someone needs medical care going forward.
So
but an irrevocable trust. Right, right.
Okay. I mean, it applies, but it doesn't help you.
Well, it all depends on what someone's goals are.
Okay.
But an irrevocable trust, which can scare a lot of people because the word irrevocable means
you're going,
it can't be changed.
Whoa, wait a minute. I just don't want control over what I got. I don't want my nephew or my son to take everything I have and put me in a home somewhere.
Exactly right.
But it can happen because that's called elder abuse.
It does happen. There is a lot of elder abuse that goes on. Luckily, the courts are much more in tune with that these days, and so there are a lot of protections in place in the system to prevent that from happening. And also,
but it has to be reported.
Well, true.
If nobody knows about it, then it's,
well, and that's true. But one of the things I like to do and other people at my firm do is, we do like to be involved with our clients in the long term.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to pay us to call us up and say, this is going on, what should I do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not that sort of we don't
they're your
charge
client.
on these services by the hour. Once a client, always a client. And so the other key with the irrevocable trust in regard to medical care and cost planning is that there are certain protections and certain safeguards that we build right into the trust which still pass muster, but which still allow people to retain certain controls so that they can feel comfortable in giving someone else authority, but making sure that everything is going to be done in their best interest and as they wish.
They could put say a house in somebody else's name, in their son's name or their daughter's name, and still retain control over selling the house and doing anything else with it?
Depending on the structure, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and that is something we could absolutely achieve.
Yeah.
And I do that frequently for people, actually, as a matter of fact.
Well, see, these are things that I think a lot of people listening here don't know. The other thing I'd like to touch on is when you have a disabled person, a son or daughter that has some disability, how do you protect them? Because you may not be living forever. How do you do that?
Oh, certainly. There are really a variety of ways to help those people as well. There's something called an SNT. It's the colloquial jargon is SNT. That means Special Needs Trust.
Okay.
And so a Special Needs Trust can be used. That's one option. But in some people's circumstances, it might not be the best option. If you only have one child, and after you're gone, and after that child is gone and has been cared for his or her entire life, if you don't care if the money that's still sitting in the trust may be distributed,
You mean to the rest of the family?
Well, if there is no other family, then oftentimes the provider of the services can still collect that money on the back end.
Oh, okay.
So there might be other options, other types of trusts, more traditional types of trusts, which could still protect and preserve the assets for not only the disabled individual, but also for all of the other family members.
Okay.
And also, let's not forget charitable donations as well. A lot of my clients want to make charitable donations in their wills and their trusts, and that's something that is very popular as well for people to do.
Well, I know that if you ever went to college, you and I both have, you get letters saying, don't forget us.
Yes.
Right? Don't forget us when you write your will.
That's true.
So, every college is doing that now, and every museums and whatever is trying to get you to think in terms of, making that donation.
Yes.
The other thing I understand is that if you have stocks and things, sometimes you're better off donating so that you don't have that profit. Have you heard of that? Or?
Oh, sure. Again, that can come down to a tax issue also. It depends on the amount of someone's estate, and it really comes down to the dollar figures as to what's going to be really the best for them. Certainly donating stocks can be an option, but there are also options involving life insurance and life insurance trusts where if you're going to have some sort of a tax liability, which now it's over $5.5 million in New York State, and it's over $11.2 million at the federal level. So not a lot of us are in that that income and asset level now, unfortunately.
I may have to check, but I don't know.
I'd love it if you were, but but it's so there are some life insurance trust options that people can do to make a contribution to a life insurance policy, and then the money received is meant to help offset that tax liability.
I saw an ad, and this may or may not be something you can even answer. I saw an ad that said, if you buy insurance with us and you die, the money goes to your and the people who inherit it. Mm-hmm. If you don't, we give you all your money back. How do they do that?
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, you may not be able to
certainly not an
answer
insurance
it, but it's
person,
like,
yeah.
How do they do that? It doesn't even make sense to me.
Right. I know that there are a wide variety of different types of policies. My understanding of insurance is that it's all about spreading risk, and so if they're calculating that
they save money because you didn't die.
Exactly.
Okay, so
we're all going to die eventually, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to think about it.
But these are terms, so therefore
yes.
They figure this policy is going to run out before you die. You know? So that's
right.
Okay. So that's because I look at that and I go, how do they do that? They're going to give me all my money back? That doesn't make any sense.
Another issue also, Ann, is long-term care insurance.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people want to have long-term care insurance in place.
That's expensive, though.
It's very expensive. The premiums are very, very high.
And the longer you wait, the higher they are.
Yes. And yes, that is meant to cover all of your home health care bills or nursing home care bills, but at the same time, there are typically ways to protect all of your assets and get people qualified for Medicaid coverage, which would then pay for those
negate
services.
That almost.
Yeah, and unless you're going to unless you need the care within just a few weeks or a couple of months, chances are it's cheaper not to pay the premiums and just engage in these types of planning strategies.
Well, one of the things I would like to see some statistics on, because the long-term care has been around, I think, almost 20 years, long-term care insurance. What I'd like to see is what is the frequency of people actually using it? Because some people die and never go into a nursing home.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
Maybe they're in an accident, maybe they're healthy and they just drop dead or something, I don't know. So you kind of wonder with those premiums, because I mean, I talk to people and they're paying like $5,000 to $6,000 a year. It's like, get out. Are you kidding?
Right. And usually the cost of
and figure how many years.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, really the cost of some of the most expensive planning options that a lawyer can do are probably going to be cheaper than that.
Yeah.
And so
it's a good idea to talk
to
to an attorney.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, how do you pick an attorney? I mean, granted, you would
that's
love to all come to you, but that's not what we're talking about.
I'm not for everybody. Unfortunately, as much as I try, so there are some people who choose to.
But how do you go about finding it? Do you go to the Yellow Pages? Do you type on Facebook? Anybody know a good attorney? Or do you talk to your relatives? Where do you start?
Well, I think you touched on a couple of the important methods, actually. It's really a matter of being comfortable with someone, being able to trust someone.
And if you really don't like the attorney, is it an insult to say, I don't think we can work together? I mean, is that
it happens
reasonable?
every now and then. Unfortunately, if you don't see eye to eye with your attorney, you should not be forced into anything that you're not comfortable with.
Good.
So it's always the client's choice. It's always the client's choice as to whether to retain or stick with, fire, move on to another attorney.
Especially when it comes to divorce.
Which I myself don't do, actually, but I don't want to be depressed all the time, so I don't do those things.
What is a good way? I mean, is it, it's like I don't really need an attorney. I mean, I have one for my will, but I don't have no need for an attorney. But suppose I wanted to see an attorney because of a land dispute. I'm just using that as an example. Where do I start?
Well. Like you said, you can look at the Yellow Pages. Yellow Pages are less useful now than a lot of online resources.
Do they even have Yellow Pages anymore?
I think they exist, but there are so many online resources now.
Yeah.
You can look at avvo.com, avvo.com, and so that's a lawyer rating site. There's Martindale Hubbell, which is an attorney rating site. There's Super Lawyers. superlawyers.com, which...
So there's a number of sites you can look at.
And also, let's not forget about Facebook. You've got a great Facebook page, a personal page, and the show. And so about 7 or 8 months ago, I actually started a Facebook page called John Mazzacchia's Legal Corner.
And I mentioned that on the show here, that they could check your webpage, your Facebook page.
Facebook page, right.
Yeah.
And
can I ask you a question on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
interactive.
I do question and answers. If there are personal or private or confidential questions,
you don't want it,
right. I always take that post down and I message the person privately, so that there's no public discussion about personal matters.
No, and probably anything. My light went out there, ma'am. There we go. My time. I'm watching time at the same time. When you answer, I'm sure it's generic. You don't really want to get into personal stuff either.
Well, not in any kind of a public forum.
Yeah.
But there are people who do reach out to me either by email or private Facebook message, and I'm always happy to converse with them.
My next question probably is a little bit odder, but pro bono.
Oh, sure.
Does every attorney try to do some pro bono work? Is this part of your style? And
oh, sure,
yeah.
Sure. There's a goal for every attorney. Every attorney should aspire to do pro bono work. We do a fair amount at our firm. Some of that is official. Some of it is not official pro bono work, meaning there are certain types of pro bono programs that you can engage in to essentially receive credit, so to speak, for having done it.
Oh, okay.
And then there are also sometimes low-income individuals who come in who don't qualify for a program, but they just don't have two nickels to rub together.
And they got a good case.
Yeah, and so I'll still help them out, even if it's a planning matter or if it's some sort of a, something like any kind of a dispute or something like that.
So people shouldn't be afraid to at least approach an attorney if they believe that they really need one.
Yes.
And then that is that's negotiable.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so that you and I could talk and say, well, I really don't have that kind of money. How can we work this out? And then you can decide. I mean, it's something you would work with your client.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if it's a car accident case, a medical malpractice case, a personal injury matter, slip and fall, something like that, we do those on a straight contingency fee, and so we don't get paid unless
you get
someone
whatever
else
they
gets
get. You don't no money up front, and then if they get a settlement.
Yes.
If they don't, you're out the money. The efforts that you put into
time.
it. Yeah, the time that you put into it.
But
But other than that, and I think that's pretty standard for any of these cases like that.
Oh,
where
yes.
There's an injury.
Absolutely.
Would that be for medical problems too? Like if you have, they left a sponge in you or something. Would that be the same thing?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's the same sort of an arrangement.
The same.
Absolutely.
So your practice, you mentioned that you have people that will do tax, right?
Oh, sure. Yes.
And you have real estate probably.
Oh, yes.
And divorce. So
Yep.
Is there anything that you can't do? Mergers and acquisitions?
Well, I can't dance. we
I
actually
was just
do a
going
good
to
amount.
ask you to do that. I said to...
Maybe off the camera, but not.
Well, John has been on the show before, but he's with the Mendelssohn Society of Albany, which is a wonderful organization. You and Jeff have been on. So
yes, we love that.
So that's how we kind of got to meet each other. Is there anything else you'd like to kind of give people a heads up on with law?
Sure. Well,
we have about 5 more minutes.
Good. Okay. Thanks. So, two other things that are some pretty recent developments that I think are very important for people to understand are. We represent a lot of small businesses and some medium-sized businesses at the firm, and also a lot of auto dealerships, but lots of other businesses in other areas, including web design companies to mini marts and things like that, all sorts of things. And so something that's affecting every single employer, even with only one employee now, is New York's new sexual harassment law.
Oh, yeah.
Only one employee, and you have to have a written sexual harassment prevention policy. And it has to be in compliance with the state's standard. The state put out a model policy, and what
do they give you a format to follow?
Yes, yes. And there's a statute, there's the law that came out that says it has to cover all these things, and then they did put out a model policy. A bunch of us wrote in and commented on that policy, and then about a month and a half later, they updated the policy.
There was a comment period. Okay,
yes,
right.
and it's still not everything that a lot of us in my profession would like it to be. So a lot of us have made it better. I shouldn't say better. Made it better for people, but made it more protective for people and for businesses.
Yeah.
And so that's very important that people know that you are entitled to receive a sexual harassment prevention policy from your employer if you are employed in the state of New York, even if you are the only employee. And all employers have to do that.
Well, because there's two people anyway. Even if I'm employing you, that's two of us.
Right.
So that you can understand why you'd need a policy.
Right, exactly. And that's because New York State wants everyone to be protected. No one should have to go to work.
I think that's really great.
Yeah, no one should have to go to work and have any fear of any sort of harassment or retaliation.
And we're not just talking, women being harassed.
Oh, it could
men
be
on
men,
anything.
women on men, all sorts of.
So
yes.
it's not just like, oh, this is another woman's thing. No.
It's completely gender neutral.
Yeah.
And there have been lots and lots of cases, actual cases on the books over the last 10 years of those other types of sexual harassment occurring. And sometimes it's something as simple as, just a comment here or there. What the person doing it thinks is just as simple as that. Yeah. But the person who's receiving it or hearing it, it's not simple at all. It's
because it affects them, and you don't know what their history is. What maybe they had been abused in the past, and something you've said is just triggering that.
Certainly.
But I want to ask you. You mentioned businesses that have employees. What about organizations that have volunteers? That's
a great point. Technically, that new law applies to all workers, all types of workers. And so that applies to a traditional employee, also independent contractors, and also volunteers and interns.
Okay.
And so if there's someone working for you, then they are covered by this law. And there's not, it's actually not quite that clear, but the safest way to do it, the safest thing to do is to distribute that policy to every single person who works for you, volunteer, intern, independent contractor, employee, and also.
So they don't have to be an employee if they're volunteer. That covers them as well, because it should.
It still remains to be seen how that's going to play out, but I don't want any of my clients to be the ones to be the ones going in court to test that out and see how it's going to apply.
But if we think about this kind of like looking at it straight on, a person who is employed has a lot to lose because they lose their job.
Yes.
Whereas a volunteer could say goodbye.
True.
So they can walk away.
Well,
and they don't have as much to lose in income or things like that.
That certainly is a perspective.
Yeah.
The goal of the law isn't meant to save people's salaries.
Okay.
Necessarily. It's meant to ensure that every single person who goes to work for any sort of a job always has that guarantee or that knowledge that they do not have to be harassed and they are protected.
Yeah. Well, we're talking to John here. My goodness, we've covered a lot. Maybe we need to get you on again, maybe in another few months, to kind of get an update on some of this.
I'd love to.
Yeah, that would be great because people have a lot of questions that they have. Sure. I want to wish you a Happy New Year, and hope that 2019 will get us through without too many more changes.
Absolutely.
I hate changes in the middle of the year, but that happens. But thanks for being on the show. Yeah, we're going to take a quick break, and you're going to see Don Hyman again with his tribute to Aretha Franklin. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about Schenectady schools, education, and what they're doing to help teachers. And congratulations to Laura Macy. She just was Teacher of the Year, so that's great. Thank you.
I'm gonna take all I can take. Here we go. Change, change, change. Change, 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 change. Can you help me out a little bit? Come on. Change, change, change. Queen of Soul, Miss Aretha Franklin, a national treasure. We lost her, but we will never lose her music. Hey, right. Come on over, sit over here. I got to sit over here.
Sit over here.
Good morning.
And you're going to use the mic, right?
I'm going to use the mic. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. And I love your opening.
I had to let it out because when I think about Aretha Franklin, I get emotional. I just have to get emotional because she was so important to our American music scene over the past 50 years and definitely being a part of my life and some experiences. So we'll talk a little bit about her and
I think it's important to address the woman of soul. She was
a woman of soul, but
well, John just left the set, but he handed me a book that they have at their office, and they give this to their clients, and it's called Beneficiaries and Executors, a Financial Guide. Who doesn't need that? We're all going to need one eventually, right?
Eventually.
Who knew? But anyway, thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
I love what you
Thank
do.
you, Ann.
You're doing so much for the schools, and you're not part of the schools, actually. Right. I mean, you're volunteers, right?
We're a foundation.
Right. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what you do and how you get your money.
Well, we get our money through our annual gala.
Yes, and that's going to be a good one.
January 17th. We also have an extensive payroll deduction for the staff members of the Schenectady School District.
Oh, really? So that they can make the donations?
That's right. And occasionally we get a very generous donor who will write us a nice check, and that's where the money comes from.
That's nice. And what do you do with that money?
The money goes in the form of grants to the teachers. We've been doing this now for about 10 years. And this year, this fall, we gave out 33 grants to teachers worth about $30,000. And this spring, we'll do another grant round for $15,000.
And they apply, and they say, I need $1,000 because I have this aquarium I want to put in the classroom, or, I mean, I'm just making that up. But, yeah. And then you consider these and decide which ones are the most have the most merit, or maybe like they all do, but you can only choose so many.
That's correct. They all have merit, but you can only choose so many. You mentioned in the break, before the break, Laura Macy.
Yeah.
Laura Macy is one of our grant recipients this year.
She's been on my show a number of times, and she just, recently, within the past year, she was here with some of her culinary.
We funded.
And they're going to be fixing food for you, right?
That's right. She caters our annual event. Yes, she does. Yes.
She's a marvelous woman.
Yeah. Over the years, we've given out over 300 grants worth about $260,000, $270,000 at this point. So we like to feel that we've had an impact. This is the lady that put the gala together, right?
Well, it's a collaborative effort. So I certainly had somewhat to do with it, but all of our
it's a big job.
And all of our board members are very involved.
That's a good thing. Yes. When you get a good board, that's so important, because if you get a board that just says, "Oh, good, I'm glad you're doing it," and then you do it, and then nobody else does. But anyway, so you have a good. So tell us what we might expect at this gala.
So one of the things I wanted to say before I go into that is, we have no overhead, so all of the monies
goes right
to the students and teachers. So I just wanted to say that.
No, that's what these volunteer organizations are like.
Yeah,
no waste.
No, that's right. But we are going to have a great event. Each year it gets better and better.
You got Greg Floyd coming too.
Yes. So we do have Greg Floyd. He is going to MC. We also have, of course, we're going to have our Laura Macy, and the culinary students are going to do a wonderful food event.
They're really good.
They're very good. They come off very professional. Their attire is professional, and I think people will enjoy seeing them do that.
So what kind of fare are we going to be looking at?
Well, they have,
because sometimes they have some great ideas on their own.
They do, and we give Laura free rein.
Just do whatever you want.
That's right. And so she'll have food stations set up, and there'll be appetizers, there, and also the students come out and serve, the people that are there with the appetizers.
Where's this going to be?
So this will be at the Proctor's, the GE Theater.
And that's a nice venue because they'll have the table set up and things.
It is. And one of the things this year that we're going to do is we have students from the high school that are going to present their art, so that'll be wonderful. And I encourage everybody to come and see that.
So you got art. How about music?
We do. We have the jazz band.
I know you have a jazz band. That's very good, by the way.
They are excellent. They are excellent.
Because I've heard, well, I mean, they're different every year, obviously, because kids change, but I have heard them. And who directs the jazz band? Do you know offhand?
Yes. His name is...
Keith Prey.
Yes. Keith Prey.
Yeah, and he actually is a very good performer himself.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because we have them usually at the Jazz on J. He's got
a
group. Yeah,
that's right.
And I work on that Jazz on J.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have, just a great time. We put a lot into the small amount of time that we're there. So there'll be, of course, the presentations, this year it'll be Jerry Rosen. We'll get the Apple Award, and then we have other people there that will also be getting awards. But one of the things that we also are going to have this year, we do have a silent auction, but we are going to be auctioning off the Pat Riley basketball.
Pat Riley, yeah.
Cool. And he's done it before, but he has, we sometimes like to change it up a little. But this year we'll definitely have the Pat Riley signed basketball, and we're hoping that people will put their tickets in for that.
And I hope they do. Is this a raffle, so they buy a ticket for that?
Yes.
And you mentioned the Apple Award, the Golden Apple Award, right?
Crystal
I got
Apple.
that many years ago.
Crystal Apple.
Crystal Apple. I got an Apple Award from the school. I forgot about that. Yeah. No, I mean I have it, but I had forgotten. But this was before you had galas, and I got it at a board meeting.
Oh, the school district.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not from you, but from the school.
Right, from the school district. Yes.
But it was like when you said that, I go, oh yeah, I got one of those.
The other Crystal Apple recipients are Kathleen Wiley, who's the Teacher of the Year, and the Working Group on Girls, which is a service organization.
Wonderful.
Yeah, fantastic group.
They do very well.
Do a lot for the kids in the schools.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's our purpose, is to recognize people, whether it's a teacher or people in the community. But that certainly is one of our purposes. Of course, our main purpose is to raise money.
Exactly. I mean, when we look at that, we're going to be talking about the library next in our next segment. But they have like Friends of the Library, who, because you can't possibly have enough money to do some of the projects. You are the friends of the schools. Right. I mean, really, because it's a foundation, but you are the ones that kind of pick up that area that isn't really attended to as much.
We also coordinate with those organizations, the Friends of the Patriot Athletics, Friends of the Library, and the other groups that support different roles in the schools.
Exactly.
But we help them with their funding and their distribution of funds. Yes.
So what we want to do is tell people, get a ticket.
Yes.
$40, that's like nothing for a good meal and supporting a wonderful organization.
Yes.
And hearing some great music and seeing some wonderful art and giving a big, hats off to Laura Macy and many of the other people that are being featured that they're doing. I really appreciate what you're doing because it's so important. Our schools need so much because I know we kind of get shortchanged here in Schenectady with some of the budgetary. And I've talked to some of the administrators about that, but what you're doing is you're trying to pick up that little slack that's out there. And you are the president. We need to mention that William here is the president, and of course Elaine is the chair of the committee. And thank you for what you do for the schools. It's so important.
Well, thank you.
And I want to wish you a Happy New Year too.
Yes, Happy New Year.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to be talking about the library, Friends of the Library, and Beat the Snow concert. Stay tuned.
Yeah, clap your hands, because I'm gonna let yourself be free. Let's go back, let's go back, let's go well, the way back when. I didn't even know you. You couldn't have been too much for me then. I ain't no psychiatrist, there ain't no doctor with degrees. You know what? But it don't take much time to see what you're doing to me. Hey, think about what you're trying to do to me. Yeah, think that your mind ain't gonna let yourself be free. Freedom, 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 yeah. Freedom, freedom, say freedom. Hey, you think about it. Think about it. I ain't gonna do nothing. I won't do this. I won't do this. You won't do it. I won't. I ain't gonna do something that you think I'm gonna do. I won't. And I ain't gonna think about what you're trying to do to me. Yeah, think. If your mind gonna let yourself be free. People go every day doing things they shouldn't be doing. Look around you and see what you see with and going. You better think. Think about what you're trying to do. Everybody say think. Think. Everybody gonna let yourself be free. Freedom, me, and I need you. Without each other, there ain't nothing we can do. Think about it. What you trying to do to me? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it.
And here we are back again, and Janice Waltz is with me. She's actually works on the show, so congratulations for helping us, and you don't know how much I appreciate that. But we also are working on Beat the Snow concert series, which is an amazing, and I say amazing, series.
It is, yes. And this is, I've been doing it now, this will be my 5th time, but actually I had been a participant for a number of years previous, and so it
with
has
the Octavo?
No, with actually the Etude Club.
Oh, the Etude, that's
yeah,
right.
So I was a member of that for a number of years,
right.
And so when I called Chris Patrick one day, who took it over from her husband, Rod, and she said, you know, Jen, I just can't do it anymore. And I said, oh, too bad, it's such a good series. And then she calls me back and says, oh, you do it, you know.
Can you do it for
yes,
me? And you said, well, I'll try it for a year. And then,
yeah, right.
This
no.
5th year.
But it
it's
is
like
so
this
good.
Show. Yeah.
It is so good. And the people, and I say this to my audiences, I say, these people, wonderful musicians from our community, come here and give their time pro bono. And I always say, if you see duo, musicians of Malwick, Schenectady Light Opera, out there and they are doing a show, go support them. Because they have given of them their time to entertain you. Well, and it's wonderful.
See, one of the things I like, and we showed Don Hyman because Don,
yes,
has been on the show.
Right, he has.
And I thought that would be kind of a nice...
because he's coming in for Aretha.
Yeah, Aretha. So, but the point in showing that is that you're not going to just see one kind of music. Like, you're not going to see Don Hyman, you know, for 6 or 8, 10 weeks. 13 weeks. Whatever, how many weeks it is.
Yeah.
You're not going to see that. You're going to see the musicians in Malwick. You're going to see classical music. You're going to see jazz. You're going to see chorus.
And sing along, right. And so our very first one, and I love it because
that was
yesterday.
Or
and our musician, Sunday, excuse me, because all the concerts are Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
2:30, Main Library, McChesney Room. But I had to laugh because here we are at our first concert, and it is Hearty Hearty Love, and it is Andrew Elder, who has been in many light opera shows. And so I knew Andrew from light opera, but I sing with his wife Courtney and her dad in Octavo Singers. So I'm expecting Courtney and Andrew to show up. Well, it turns out that they are expecting a child in many months, but she's not feeling well right now. So therefore, Andrew brought in his other friend who they worked with. So it was a different concert kind of thing.
But you know, that's what's fun.
It is, because
it's
and we've had that a couple times. I've only had group cancel once, but luckily I knew a month ahead of time, and so I was able to call actually my son and Mark Emanation to come on in. So Jeremy and Mark, who play out all the time, came in and did some blues for me. So one of the things about kind of being out there and listening, and to your show too, which is where I learned about Donald Hyman to come in, is you see what riches we have in our area.
Great music.
Wonderful musicians. And like Light Opera will be there, and they're doing it a little bit early this year. So I'm thinking that they'll probably
Light Opera is doing it on February the 17th.
February 17th, and they usually do it in March and showcase some numbers from the fall show, the new season.
Yeah, the new season.
But their season, they're doing it early enough. They'll probably do something from 1776 and maybe something from 42nd Street, which are their last two shows.
Last 2 shows,
yeah. I don't think they'll do anything from Wild Party. We aren't that kind of concert series.
Okay.
But you have such a variety. And Michael Clement comes in. He's an excellent
you got him.
pianist.
I mean, I'm looking, his name keeps coming up.
Yes, he accompanies Roseanne Hargrave,
and
who
then
does
we just
concerts
saw a
all
picture of her
over.
up there,
yes, and she does a variety. And Bianne Banzé, she also formulates wonderful concerts.
That's the one that's coming up this
She's
the 13th,
coming up on with Sandra, and they're going to do some Spanish things, and sometimes she did one all on flowers, all kinds of flower songs. So she is wonderful, yes, to promote things. And so we also have the duo, which is jazz. We have kitchen jazz, our friends from
Richard,
Stockade, yes. And so we have a wonderful variety of music. And then we have our friend Malcolm coming in with the Thunder Road Singers, and they have some wonderful songs, but then the audience gets to sing along.
Yeah, and they usually do a nice job with that.
They do. And the audience loves to be a participant in it. And so we have shows, and often, whether it's kitchen jazz, inviting people to sing along, or an actual sing-along where we hand out sheets of
that was fun when
words.
you did it, because I was at the one where you were handed out the sheets, and we were going through all the songs.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Trying to find out which one are we on now.
Right. Well, we try to keep them in order.
No, I know
but
you
we chose songs knowing our audience. And part of it is knowing your audience. So we are going to have a variety of music. I always try to get some of the people that have been there for a while. I mean, musicians of Malwick and Light Opera have been involved, and Mark also have been involved from the beginning. And the series is over 10 years old. In fact, I was asking someone at the Friends, because this is sponsored by the Friends of the Library, how many years this has gone, but I know it's at least 10, and it might have been a dozen that they had been doing it. But it's wonderful.
It's a great
free,
afternoon.
Open to the public at 2:30
Sometimes
every
standing room
Sunday.
only.
Oh my gosh, yes. You know, some of those concerts, again, the weather is a reason people might not come, but if you can make it, it's free, it's your community. Exactly. And it's wonderful because you get to see, oh, hi, how are you? I saw you last time.
I see people do that.
That's right.
I want to tell people who's coming on next week, and then we'll finish our conversation here. The Black Theater Troupe of Upstate New York, they're doing Fences over at Siena, so we're going to be talking about that. Capitol Rep is going to be on talking about Red Maple, which is a premiere in this area, by the way. It's going to be a wonderful show. I just read the synopsis of it. Looks good. We're going to be talking about the annual Soup Stroll in downtown Schenectady, Martin Luther King celebration coming up, Proctor's Collaborative, and then Wildwood Theater Arts show is coming up as well. So we got a full show next week.
Oh gosh, yes. And that is our area, just as we have such a variety of music at our Beat the Snow concert series. We know, because you and I go to these theater events, there is just so much going on in our community. But again, these are your musicians, your local musicians.
Support
coming
them.
up, absolutely.
Support them.
And just come and have fun.
They're giving back by coming and doing these shows.
Yes.
It's up to you now to support them when you see that they're performing somewhere. there's usually a small cover. Just pay it and just enjoy it, and let them know that we appreciate them. You know, I'm sure they had to take music lessons.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, when you think the Etude Club, musicians of Malwick, I mean, these are professionals. These are people that get paid to play.
Anne-Marie does a wonderful
Oh my gosh,
job,
yes, and very creative and very supportive of what is going on in the community. Of course, the fact that Hamilton is coming does a lot for the Schuyler Mansion and stuff, and they get to play because that's their music. So wonderful things, wonderful things.